I wanted to do a video review of this book for so long. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's a massive tome. Look at that. That is thick. I mean, you can hear that, right? That is seriously heavy. So Kool. Old school 80s UK graffiti. This is the book I've been waiting for years and years, decades really, decades. If I'd have had the patience, I might have done something similar myself. I mean, I have done something similar myself, but I've never done quite like these guys have done. Stephen O'Hara, Paul Pilgrim. Paul is the real sort of brains behind this. Old school UK grapher, and he's produced, they have produced, I should say, a real staggering document that covers the early the early inception of graffiti to the UK. Let's just have a look. The book is too massive to do a complete sort of thorough flip through, but I've just got to, I've got to take you through as much of it as I can, really, because it's just fantastic. It really is. When I say it's the book we've been waiting for, it's got everything: trains, walls, and all from nothing sort of after '89, as far as I can tell. Look at the styles. You see, I got into graph. I started writing about '87 because I was seeing this stuff. Look at that. That's one of my favourite trains of all time. This is by a guy called Risk from Sheffield. Sheffield in the north of England had an amazing scene. Azarox, who comes on here, he sometimes comments on my videos. Go and follow him. He was from Sheffield at this time. He was writing at this time. His stuff's in here. I was looking at this stuff and being very inspired by it, because I was like sort of UK second wave. Which means I sort of started '87. These guys had started in the early '80s. They were writing on walls in '83. So by the time I got going, they were 4 years in the game. Nice Pops piece there, and you can see it from their scene. Missed one, very famous Sheffield writer. I mean, look at this beautiful '80s styling. I think for those of us who come up around this time, this sort of style will never go out of fashion. For us, it's like magic when we see it. I don't know if some of you new school heads feel the same about it, maybe not. But it is fascinating, right? You used to get this. It used to get a lot of ghost yards in the UK. See, all the windows are put out. What they do, they put all the trains in a sort of ghost yard. I don't think it happens very much in the UK anymore. You get ghost yards just outside stations, and the trains just sit there all smashed up and whatever, rusty, guys, slowly dropping to bits. And we or they would go in and decorate them, and the results were just, to us, they were like magic. Look at that beautiful piece. Part two. This guy, it is part two, isn't it? Yeah. Part two went on to be one of the pioneers of photorealistic graffiti art in the UK. Oh, I just love all this. Look at the hand styles there. Beautiful hand styles. And this sort of black book photocopy thing. Oh, that's great. Just reminds me of that time. Flyers. There were loads of flyers being done, and beautiful kind of chrome pieces. So much experimentation as well. What you see in this book is you see a documentation of how everybody was experimenting with style, different styles of b-boys, different styles of lettering, different fills. You can see there's a sort of congruity to the way it all... Look, there's another big ghost yard train, no one there. Big top to bottom hole. Is that Des and Moore? That's Sheffield as well, I think. Such a great scene, Sheffield. Full of graph. Yeah, there was a congruity to the whole graph scene. It all sort of held together, but everyone was trying different stuff, and you know, within the context of sort of post New York graffiti. This is in Blackpool, which is the north of England, in Lancashire, I think. Don't shoot me down if I got that wrong. I'm a bit southern centric when it comes to UK, but I do know that Sheffield is in Yorkshire. That's South Yorkshire. Yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely. And it's just great, isn't it? I hope you agree. I hope you agree. I know there's some old UK heads who come on here, and I'm sure a lot of the older US guys probably be quite fascinated in what we did with it when we first got hold of it as well. Because obviously, I think Rocksteady... Okay, I'm going to have to try and remember my history here. So, Rocksteady come over in about 1983, I think it was. Futura touring with The Clash. I think maybe earlier than that. Am I right on that? And that's when Malcolm McLaren's Buffalo Girls video with Dondi, and we started to see graph, and we start to take that New York graph, and we start to run with it, and people like Bando and Shoe and Delta and all those guys, and yeah, London Giants, Non-Stop State of Art, Justice, T-Rock, early, again, you know, those sorts of people. They're innovating, they're taking the New York stuff, giving it a bit of their own spin, trying different stuff, and it was probably the most exciting time for UK graph. I mean, UK graph now it's astonishing what people can do now. We've got a pretty great scene, actually. I would probably argue it's probably not as inventive or as saturated as it was at this time. I mean, literally, like, whole school years were getting into graph. If you went to a comprehensive school around this time, your whole school year, all the boys in your year might be writing, and some of the girls as well might be writing, writing their names, writing graph. It was like everybody was doing it. There's a nice little ghost yard. John Sheffield. I'm trying to remember that guy. I think he was from Nottingham, actually. Yeah, just everyone was writing their name. Everyone was getting into it, and it was super exciting. And I think a lot of us thought it would last forever, you know, that people writing their names and more crews. We probably thought it would just sort of get bigger and better, and in the end it didn't really. It shrunk, and it's got rarer and rarer, but the work has got better and better, and those people who stayed in got better and better, so we can put some really great stuff on the wall now, which is brilliant. But there's not many writers around, not as many as there was, and you could argue the work is not as innovative as it was. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm very happy to be corrected. I remember this piece. Look at the fill on that piece. It's a beautiful fill, really, really beautiful. I remember seeing it in black and white, and it looked good. To give you an idea, in a fanzine, because in them days fanzines were all in black and white. What is that? Buck, Manchester, in Manchester. That Manchester, also north of England. For those of you who live elsewhere, that's an amazing train, isn't it? Mr. On Such +2, Rock the City, Sheffield again. Oh, Sheffield are really pulling out the stops. All Star Kings, that's Westbourne Park. It's a very famous piece from the pit, Elaborate Grove. Anybody painted at the pit. Although the pit, just to quickly explain to you, the pit is in West London, so those of us who weren't from that part of London weren't necessarily welcome there, and people regularly got robbed up there. But we still managed to make our mark in the pit at some point, and it was an amazing. It's not there anymore. It's really sad. It doesn't exist anymore. I think property developers bought it, and of course it's the same old story. Certainly in this city it is. Property developers buy up all the stuff. Anyway, let's not get into that right now, because I'm enjoying this graph. I hope you are as well. And I know I'm flipping through it fairly quick, but I've got, I mean, you can see how much, there's a lot of this stuff. Get yourself this book, by the way, if I haven't said already. And you're probably looking at it, any sort of graph connoisseur will be looking at this going, oh, I love that, that's amazing. This piece, this was one of them pieces, I always thought this was Essex Rockers. It's in Chelmsford. It was done in Essex Gasworks. Yeah, it is Essex Rockers. Bees and Aero, the Crime Bandits, Too Crucial. I'm pretty sure Essex Rockers. That's what ERZ is. So that piece was one of them that really inspired me in the day. I remember looking at that going, I want to do characters. I really want to do characters. That, I think I've talked about this before. It's one of my favourite pieces of all time. Electro 22. I've got a picture of it up on my board right in front of me right now, because it's one of them things that inspires me still. That character, the fill and then letters, all of it, just gorgeous, right? Absolutely gorgeous. Ooh, beautiful little bits of black book. Chum 101. Still in the game now. Fantastic look at that. That's how we all wanted to look, by the way, in the early 80s. That's in 1984. That's exactly how everybody wanted to look in 84. If you had a bit of dough, that's how you looked. A lot of us didn't have any money. We were absolutely broke. Our families were all broke, all that. You know, if you came from a working class background, you had no dough at that point. Ski jacket, fancy shades. I mean, them shades must have cost a fortune, unless you managed to rack them from somewhere. But anyway, enough of that. Look at it. It's a feast for the eyes, right? That's a very famous Casby piece. That's in the pit as well. Really famous. Again, the Duck character prompted me to go and grab some old Howard the Duck marvels from an old flea market. In them days when you could pick up stuff for pretty much no money whatsoever, because nobody wanted it. I went to some flea markets, picked up old Marvel comics of Howard the Duck from the 1970s. Started to copy them characters into my black book. Do all that after seeing Casby's piece. That piece, I think the Casby piece featured in the Bomb the Bass video, which you can see on YouTube. The what's his name? Tim Zimmerman, Bomb the Bass. Yeah, I'm forgetting the other name, whatever it was. Anyway, whatever. Very famous iconography, the really iconic London piece, that one, by Scribbler. Really, really early. What's that? 85. Yeah, just before they did, before they became, where they were becoming trailblazers. They later went on to become the Chrome Angels. Probably, debatably, the best crew in Europe. Very famous Scam piece. Scam's still around now. Scam is my age and he's still breakdancing. He's still entering breakdancing competitions and placing. Man's a bit of a ledge. West London ledge. Westbourne Park. Yeah. By the way, I would urge you, if you haven't already been watching them, to go to the Killer Keller podcast. A lot of these guys are interviewed there. There's an interview with Scam, which is really, really brilliant interview about oldie worldy UK, you know, what we did before, graph and all that sort of stuff. Oh my God, it's mad. Absolutely mad. Beautiful help piece by Pops. Look how crisp them lines were. Painted with what was probably car paint. I mean, I'm looking at that thinking, that green. Was that car paint, that green? I don't think it might have been Buntlack. Not sure. Rape, he was a member of, what they're called, Killed in Action Platoon as well. That was the crew. It's got such a sort of distinctive look. Loads and loads of overspray and fade, and people weren't afraid of mashing colours up together, even if it didn't really work, you know. Sometimes it didn't work, but the overall effect was still great. Look at that for a train. Lovely tube there. Mark Rock, London 87, that one. I always think 87 is my favourite year, but that's because it's the year I came in as well. Back jacket. That's Chum again, right? Great character. Shade 2, Gas Chaos. Aylesford. Don't know where Aylesford is, to be honest. Look at this stuff though, isn't it great? Big walls being done, everything. It's chaos, isn't it? It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Jump 2. I mean, that is just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Bexley Heath Park. 86, because that's not far from where I live now. A few miles down the road. There's a lot of this as well, loads of sci-fi influence. Sci-fi was very big in the 80s. It's sort of made a bit, I mean, everything's big now because, you know, streaming and media, the way we consume media has changed everything. But you used to get, in them days, you used to get sort of spates of movies on TV, like sci-fi movies or action thrillers or all that sort of stuff. There was a big resurgence in sci-fi. And 2000 AD, which is a comic that came out of the UK, got very big at this time, and Graffers really picked up on it. Took loads of the sci-fi influences, put them into pieces. So you saw characters like Judge Dredd and Halo Jones, and other characters that come out of them stories go up on walls, and it was very exciting, let me tell you. As a lover of all things sci-fi and 2000 AD, I went nuts for that stuff. Absolutely nuts. That's the 2000 AD character. Mention it. That's Chris Aprazia from DR and Quinch. It's not a coincidence, obviously, that I've just mentioned that and that come up because there was so much of it around at this time. I used to love that blocky kind of rocky style. That's the pit again. I always tell the pit because it's got that big sort of mesh in that building in the background. Oh, and there's Trellick. You can just see Trellick back there. That's Trellick Tower. There's a big Hall of Fame at Trellick as well, around the base of Trellick. It's a great Hall of Fame in there. Which I think they're still trying to save it at the moment. It might be falling into the hands of the property developers. Damn, this is great stuff. Look at this. Burton Youth Club. Burton Youth Club. Christchurch Burton Youth Club. Bournemouth. Is that? That's Bournemouth is South Coast, I believe. God, my geography's bad, isn't it? Awful. Do I not get out of London much, you might wonder? You'd be correct. I very rarely leave. Iconic wall there. Very famous. Oh, in fact, this is Trellick Hall of Fame that I just mentioned. Earth's Edge. Really famous. It's quite a famous photo as well. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, great. I mean, look at that. Look at that. With no sort of background on it. Just straight on the panel. You know, on the panels of that train. That old train in the Ghost Yard there. Stratford Yard. That's so that's right over in East London. This is a very famous piece. This piece influenced a whole generation of writers who saw the Weetabix commercial. 85 was that? 85, yeah. In Hammersmith. Me and Kismo were hanging out recently, and he's got photos of when he went down and he saw Artful painting that. Took photos of the whole thing when it's half finished and everything. Literally, I kid you not, a whole generation of writers inspired by that got in the game because of that. Saw Artful Dodger. Artful Dodger's one of them guys who we all revere, and he's still active, still doing stuff now. I just want to say, that is, look at those characters. That is very advanced character for the time. Oh, that's Terrace, that's why. So Terrace, he done the Electro 22 album cover that I was talking about earlier. Did some really brilliant stuff. Very, very gifted illustrator. Was getting onto this stuff very early. Really great characters and just totally understood the hip hop dynamic. Got it energetically, completely. Love it. Oh, here's more Terrace stuff. Electro 19, this one. So there's the finished album cover. These are his working underlays, overlays, whichever they are. Beautiful stuff, these characters, inspired. Again, very sci-fi feel, robotic. You know, sci-fi meets hip-hop. I've always loved that kind of fusion. Another one, a terrace there. Similar character to the one we saw before. Beautiful, beautiful work. Yeah, 88 now. That's great, isn't it? Ah, love this Goldie piece. I mean, for once, I'm a characters guy, but for once on this, I'm just drawn to that. It's just sort of, it's perfection for me, that, as an old school piece. Sort of like computerized graph lettering. Just love it. Absolutely love it. Bridlington graph competition. I think I might have mentioned this before. This one, 89. I think, were they 3 years running, 2 years running? Can't remember now. So long ago. Crazy. He was a fabulous writer. He's still around. He's still producing amazing work now. Still does beautiful wild styles. You can catch him on Instagram. Craze ILC in Living Colour Crew. More Goldie and Des. These guys from TWC in the Midlands. Wolverhampton, I think. The Wild Criminals. Great crew. They produced amazing work. This is Inky and Chio. Always love this piece. Always love this character. Beautiful character. So definitive of the time. Chio character. The big trainers and everything. You know, 89 that was. Lovely. Big old Pops chrome there. This is Pops doing early photorealism. Pops, System. I'm just seeing if System's around actually. Oh yeah, System. Here we go. It's on System stuff. Pops, System Part 2. They were the three writers in the UK who really pioneered getting photorealism out there on the wall. Yeah, all three of them still active in art. Yeah, this is Tough Tim Twist, North Wales, and Stormy Mills. Both these guys around. Tough Tim, again, bit of a ledge, hip-hop ledge. Remember Rocksteady crew. Fantastic breakdancer. I think he's still breaking now, you know. I think Tough Tim's got a couple of years on me and he's still on the floor. God, it'd half kill me to do in an attempt to windmill now, but not that I was any good back then. I was rubbish at it then. I'll be even worse at it now. Duro, Bristol. So Bristol has had an amazing scene forever since Word Dot, because 3D came out of Bristol, and he was one of the first UK writers. And we've got Stormy and System, Colwyn Bay. I don't think they're in any particular order, really. I think they're just sort of chucked around, which is something I like very much. It's nice. What a great character, beautiful sort of Baudet inspired character. I'm going to stop in a second, but I'm slightly getting buzzed up looking at all these images again. I've been through this book a few times already, as you might imagine. Kilo, great. I was seeing this in a big zine, this big article, and there's the actual piece. Fantastic. Ain't that great? How brilliant is that? System flyer. Fantastic. What an amazing panel down there. That's Casby again. Casby was an astonishing writer. Somebody told me, I saw some stuff where he was back in the game, basically. At least he was back for, to do a piece. Love that. Love that little window down there. Yeah, I don't know if he kept it up. Don't know if he's still doing it. Inky piece there. Oh, and Geo character system there. Right. I sort of want to get. Oh yeah, I think I'm getting in Midlands. So yeah, this is it. So this is. There's a lot of pop stuff here. Home Pieces, one of my favourite pieces of all time. This photorealism by Pops. It was just to see that at that time was absolutely astonishing. It was just brilliant. You know, you think about the kind of paint he had to work with, and the tips, the caps he was working with, all that. Just, you know, mad he was producing work like that. And this. Always loved this piece. There he is, the man himself. I remember that one. I remember looking at these letter styles and just loving them. Love straight. I've always loved straight letter styles. I love wild style as well. Semi-wild, wild, you know. But there's something about really amazing kind of big round straight letters. Blossom piece. I remember seeing that in the flesh and just going, wow, that is incredible. His technique was so good. That thing about style and technique, Bob said a lot. He could do everything. Love that. That is such a Craze piece. There we go, Craze, not him. Oh, look, Craze, early stuff. Yeah, he's so brilliant, this guy. That's an old mail train. Another bit of early photorealism. That one appeared in Hip Hop Connection magazine in 1989. Still got a copy of that by Pops. Okay, I think I'm going to call it a day there. I'm not through it. There's still a load left, but I'm going to call it a day because my neck's hurting. Oh, there's one from Remy there. VOP, Visual Orgasm Productions, Rough Stilo, oh god, sorry for somebody else, my memory is not what it was. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there because you can buy it to have a look at the rest. But if you're a student of the old school, or if you are interested in the roots of graph, where it's come from, you'll be fascinated by this. You see the evolution of style. You see where the style has come from. See the development of the use of colour, character design, backgrounds, all that sort of stuff. It's all in here. It is fantastic. I can't urge you enough. Go out and get yours. I don't know how many they're printing. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's all sold out already. I hope not. I'll put an Amazon link in there so you can get along and have a look at it for yourself. But I urge you to get a copy. This is just one of the best books out there, and it ain't gonna get dusty on the shelf. You know, you're gonna be crawling through this. There's so many photos in there as well. It's a brilliant book. Old So Kool by Paul Pilgrim, Stephen O'Hara, and yeah, get yours now.